Games are too big. They're too long. A very brave thing for an individual to say because everyone begs constantly for open world games. I remember before Pokemon had Scarlet and Violet, everyone was frothing at the bit for an open world game. And while open world games can be good, unfortunately, a lot of them devolve into 700 side quests of please go and pick me 3 different variants of flower and I will reward you with an entire gold piece. The hidden costs of long playtimes in modern gaming. Circle Tunes HD uploaded a bit of a banger. Let's check it out.
Right now, ask yourself, how many games do you currently have that are halfway finished that you tell yourself, yeah, I'll get back to that, knowing fully well you won't, or even worse, games that you...
Okay, right now, off the top of my head, I have Loop Hero that I started playing. I had Hades that I started playing a while ago that I haven't finished. I have Slay the Spire, which I will go back to eventually. I said I was going to play Breath of the Wild before Tears of the Kingdom came out, but chances are very low now. I have Persona 5, which I started playing. It's most likely not going to finish that, but I keep telling myself I'll go back to it eventually, so quite a few, to be honest.
To play, but I've been gathering dust because you literally don't have the time to play them at all.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. Hey fellas, it's your friendly neighborhood circle guy, and today I want to jump into what
I love the little animation on this.
Massive contributor to the problem I just mentioned and spout my gaming opinions that absolutely nobody asked for. Charles!
No, it's okay. I asked for it.
Soapbox.
That's what everyone else does. That is the job of every single content creator and streamer is to give their opinions where it wasn't asked for. You gotta upload it. You gotta force it onto everyone else because no one's gonna go to a random person on the street and say, hey, can you upload a video telling me about your top 10 times that you tripped in a video game and you stubbed your toe and it really hurt a lot? No one's gonna do that. You just gotta be the kind of person that says people need to hear this even if no one asks for it to begin with, because then people do actually want to listen to it. Oh, nice soapbox.
It is necessarily a good thing for every game to try to have hundreds of hours of gameplay.
True,
okay,
base. Oh my god, yes. I'm so glad that people are coming to this conclusion now. This is an idea that I've had for a long time because some of my favorite games of all time are games that just are really good for like 10 hours and then end. My favorite game of all time is BioShock, which doesn't have hundreds and hundreds of hours of replayability, multiplayer, online, side quests, live service, none of that. It's just a really, really good 12-hour romp through a cool city and then it ends. And it's my favorite. I think it is the most memorable video game that I will ever play. Sometimes games can be good and not siphon every single hour of your waking life from you.
Lately, I've seen this shift in mainstream gaming, this Hail Mary attempt at a forever game, something with endless content, something you could play infinitely. And I'm not talking about games that can technically be played as long as you want. I'm specifically talking about games with an overabundance of scripted, achievable things, quests, missions, moments, you know, that juicy content. Games like MMOs and certain RPGs aren't really new to this grind.
I hate this kind of stuff as well. I'm not a fan of the I'm gonna upload 7,000 side quests where you just do the same thing over and over again for like a slight EXP buff. I remember Fallout 4 tried to make infinite quests because they had a radiant system of AI where they would just generate a quest in a random area with a random thing for you to do, and they could do that infinitely. The problem with those kind of quests is that they are boring as sin. They say, hey, a settlement needs your help. You need to go to Boggledy Town because Rampant the Raider has been stealing their cabbages again. But that's not fun. That's not interesting. There's no story there. There's nothing there. It's just go and help the guy get his cabbages back and I'll give you 15 XP points and a pipe gun that doesn't do any damage.
Spiders for no reason whatsoever other than to increase playtime.
Ooh, this is exciting. Does this come with a vest and a name tag? Because I wasn't aware I just clocked in my new place of fucking employment! Now, video game grinding has existed since the birth of at-home game consoles. Older games would increase the difficulty or remove checkpoints as a way to keep the player playing, mostly due to hardware limitations. When your cartridge housed a few megabytes of storage, sometimes kilobytes, it was up to the developer on how to keep you tethered while simultaneously making sure you didn't blaze through the game. It was clever, often bullshit, but an understandable practice. This isn't necessarily what I'm getting at here, but it's the foundation of this fabricated playtime that I want to jump into. It matters knowing this, but being able to differentiate.
Yeah, they really want people to play their games forever because then they can continue to farm the same person for money over and over and over again. They want to generate so many whales, which are just people that spend ridiculous amounts of money on their game, that they can just, they get billions of dollars from that, like Fortnite, MMOs. Mobile games are particularly bad for that as well, where they'll just add little bits of content that don't require a whole lot of thought, that isn't particularly interesting, but since you're already in the game, you're like, I might as well log on and do my dailies, because that's what I do. I log on and I do my dailies. And if that kind of takes you away from some really cool experiences that I feel like everyone should play some types of games, but everyone can do what they want at the end of the day. If you like that kind of game, that's totally okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I think that's cool that you can build communities around it, but man, they just want your money.
This somewhat necessary archaic version and the new abomination we'd later receive. But sure, I get it. We want our games to last a while. We never want fun experiences to end. And on
Oh, that's a really good point as well. They just made a really good point about lasting a while, because there are some people out there that can only buy like one game a year. And if you can only buy one game a year, then you want to make it sure it's something good. Of course, older games get a lot cheaper as it goes. So if you're a patient gamer, then you can probably go back and buy 10, 20 games for the same price that you'd spend on one new game now. And the new games now aren't even worth buying. Like, what came out recently? Redfall, buggy mess. Jedi Survivor, buggy mess. Everything that comes out now is just an absolute mess on release, so just buy old games. Or you could play the free-to-play online games that add a lot of content, like the live service stuff. Again, that's totally fine.
games drip feeding their players with season after season of updates, reuse content, weird time-consuming systems where they don't need to be, crafting, and literally fucking everything, it seems. Quit it with the fucking crafting! God! And this isn't even
True facts. I hate crafting so much. I don't care about it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I hate how Assassin's Creed turned into like this RPG where you get a sword and it's a level 15 sword and I'm trying to smack a boss on the head with it over and over again. But oh no, this sword's a level 15 sword, so it doesn't do very much damage even though I'm slicing his eyeballs out and it's not doing anything. So you can craft a better sword. Okay, I want to craft a better sword. How many iron ingots do I need to get to do that? Can I purchase the coriander that I need for the sword hilt from the local market? Do I have to go out into the wilderness and mine myself some brick in order to make the iron for the sword? It's dumb. I hate that. It's just a time-wasting mechanic at that point. Why can't you just have a cool sword that just stabs people like at the original Assassin's Creed? That just might be because I'm not a huge fan of inventory sorting and the leveling mechanics of a lot of RPGs, because I feel like it's just tacked on and it doesn't have a purpose to be there. It's just there because people think that they need to put RPG mechanics in their games. And now it's kind of going away a little bit, which I'm thankful for, but man, it was annoying.
end of it. Even before updates and additional content post-launch, every game is
So you hate Minecraft? Honestly, I have never played Minecraft.
expected to also release with enough content to keep you busy until you're fucking dead. Some of you may think, well, isn't it good to strive for more rather than to settle for less? And that would be the case if it weren't for the glaring fact that this current time-sucking content hellscape is lowering the quality of games across the board consistently. Not only do
True, because people will release games and they'll be like, dude, we're gonna support this game for 10,000 years. You're gonna be dead before we stop supporting this game. And then it comes out and it flops, like Redfall. And now what are you gonna do? You have 15 people playing Redfall, but you made promises before the game release that you're gonna support it until the end of time and the heat death of the universe. So what are you gonna do now? The only reason that you get away with releasing a game that doesn't have much content to begin with is because you say it's a live service and that you're going to continually update it until everyone is dead of old age. But it flopped. Now you just have a shitty game that no one plays.
so many games try to promise this unobtainable content paradise, but nearly all of them fail when they do. Content gets rushed, recycled, or even cut and resold later on at an additional cost. A finished game filled with a ton of content and post-launch content on the way being developed during a spike in crunch culture is the single worst recipe an evil witch could brew up in her comically large evil cauldron.
That's kind of funny. What was the last game that was released that just had all the content in it, stuff that wasn't cut, and it released in a genuinely good state? I think the last one was probably Hogwarts Legacy, which is funny that it makes the witch reference.
Nowadays, games want to be a buffet of content where not really much of it is that great, but oh wow, holy shit, there's so much here. They even got that weird ass dumpling with old meat in it. Sometimes they'll even add to it and drip feed paid content like battle passes, and other times they'll have seasonal events meant to weaponize FOMO. I know this argument has been made about DLC and pre-order expansion passes and stuff.
Okay, I don't really think there's a problem with DLC though. Adding DLC to a game is just adding more content after the game's already released. As long as you're making it from the ground up after the game has already released, so it's not something that's been cut from the original game. I remember people getting so pissed about Mass Effect because they added day one DLC that was really important story information that should have been in the game to begin with that you could only get if you pre-ordered the game or you had to buy it separately. That kind of stuff is abysmal. Can't be doing that. But DLC that you make afterwards is, I mean, that's fine, right? That's okay.
And dude, I understand online multiplayer and single-player games have vastly different expectations and common features, but I'm conflating the two mostly because this issue is prevalent in both. What I'm getting at is...
So true. You're making some really good points right here, Circle Tunes. Why are there so many big games that genuinely have good parts to them that are just obscured with 7,000 hours of running around a map to unlock a point on the map where you can see more points on the map so that you can then run to a different point on the map so that you can access a quest maybe, or maybe it's just a chest that you can open instead so you can get a level 15 sword so that you can spend 7 years gouging the eyes of a boss. But there's good parts of these games, but they're just hidden. I almost stopped playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey completely because running around the map was so mind-numbing, I wanted to game end myself in Minecraft. I hate that stuff, just running around a map for half an hour to get to the next location where you can activate an actually good mission. At this point, you should just make it a single-player game that's mission-based, because that's the fun part.
One day I will be cuddled up with the worms and moles of the world, but before that inevitable day comes, I will be enjoying video games as much as I can. And when I have to balance my work, social life, sleep, and other stuff with video games, that leaves me with an extremely small sliver of time for those games.
Persona 5 isn't like that. It has quick travel to most locations. Persona 5 is like that. Persona 5 is so long, and it has so many boring parts. I'm sorry, I'm sure it's like, it's a really, really good game. I enjoyed the time I spent with it, but Persona 5 is not something that gives you the best stuff without you having to work for it. You have to clock in like it's a 9 to 5 to play the good parts of Persona 5.
Really think back to those games. How often were you actually immersed or engaged in the gameplay? How often were you experiencing something new or innovative? Or did you maybe abandon the game due to its overabundance of slog and you never even got to the good advertised stuff whatsoever? You see, right?
Yeah, that's Persona 5 to me. Again, I know Persona 5 is like really, really, really good, but man, it could not hold my attention. There is so much slop that you have to drivel through in order to get to the good stuff.
Right there, that is the issue here. It's not expanding the playability, it's restricting it. As I get older, I realize games that have 10 hours of excellent content will almost always be better than games with 30 hours of excellent content and 70 hours of fucking padding.
Facts. Dude, Prey is such a good game, and it's like 12 hours long. You don't have to go around an open world for 50 hours. You don't have to slog through anything. It's just good all of the time, and then you finish it, and it's done. Sadly, for people that can't afford to buy a lot of games, you want to buy something that's going to be more bang for your buck, and it's totally understandable. But if you're in a more well-off position, you can play a lot of games, then those like 10 to 12-hour single-player experiences, so good, so good.
100 hours of content, isn't that outstanding?
Deathloop is a great example of a game with backtracking, but simultaneously staying fresh, short, interesting, and concise with its gameplay. Hopping on for an hour and finishing 5 extremely varied fun missions before putting down the controller feels a whole lot better than starting up a mission to listen to
Deathloop is good.
48 minutes while I slowly follow him to a destination to retrieve something stupid and walk all the way back. And listen, I'm not saying RPGs or farming games that go on for billions of hours shouldn't exist. I mean, Christ, I love RPGs, obviously. They have their place just as much as short indie experiences do, but my problem is this massive middle blob of games that want to be anything and everything and succeed at nothing while simultaneously being just, I don't know, boring. It seems so...
I know what this is as well. It's the executives at the top that are like, oh, you need to make it like this. I know that's exactly why Redfall failed so badly, because they made Arcane create a game that was like focus grouped and tested, and we figured out all the exact things that you need to do to really make the most generic game possible in this day and age, and they made Arcane make it, even though they just came off of making Prey, which was first-person immersive sim that didn't sell very well, but they weren't used to making that kind of game, and it didn't go together. It was like trying to make a jigsaw out of pieces from different puzzles. Like individually, the jigsaws would have been cool, but when you try to mash it together in a way that doesn't really work concisively with a team that isn't used to making that kind of thing, it just fails. And the people that make them create games like that are the people at the top that are just like, look, This is what's doing well right now. We need a live service that we can creatively make it DLC for constantly to keep people playing all the time. And it needs to be co-op. And they need to have Marvel quips.
So many games don't know what they want to be anymore. Video game genres as a whole seem to be losing their identity.
Ah, yes, my first-person shooter racing farming sim. This game should have RPG elements and base building. Thank God I added multiplayer. You're gonna want to pre-order for early access to the V12 eggplant shotgun.
For real, it's like people are just saying keywords into a microphone and they're like, come on, please applaud. I said keywords, survival aspects, base building. Doesn't that sound cool? Multiplayer online, live service, content updates. Don't you like these keywords that I'm saying? Rather than just actually trying to make a good game.
Enough time to do everything you want. The industry is curving in a way where it's becoming far more acceptable to release a game half-baked with the promise of fixing it or improving it later on.
Saints Row developer response to backlash, haters gonna hate. Bro, your game sucked. I'm sorry. You know what's really sad about games being bad is that people will pray for a game to be bad, which is bad. You should never pray for a game to be bad. You know, there's so many people that spend years of their life working on something, but imagine being one of the developers. Imagine being like a programmer that spends the whole time programming how cars drive, and you release a game and the cars drive really well, but everything else in the game just absolutely sucks. And then you go onto Twitter to be like, oh, I wonder how people are liking the car driving in the game that I worked 2 years on. 2 years of my life making this, and everyone is just dunking on you saying, dude, this game sucks. Big ratio moments. This is awful. Not gonna play it. Should have been free, to be honest. Developers suck. Hate this game. That's gotta feel so bad. That's probably the saddest thing. That's why I try not to be so too mean about games when they come out, because people spend so much time making games. It is so hard to make these things. Even if they come out really badly, damn, it is hard to make these.
And then to delay or take your time crafting a polished work of art.
Back in the day,
We didn't get updates, patches, and performance updates. Outside of the occasional international release changes, you had to make sure whatever was on that disc or cartridge was worthy of its price tag. And often it wasn't, in fairness. But this rush games out the door time-crunching development hell world we live in was partially forged in the same crucible that invented the notion that every game must last forever. You know, it actually made me happy to hear when God of War Ragnarok got delayed. Most of the time, delays are positive. Waiting for a refined product will always be better than getting an underdeveloped mess quicker.
but gamers.
A wise person at Nintendo once said, a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. I can't remember who said that, actually.
Suck. Gamers are seriously my least favorite group of people, and I should know I'm sadly one of them. No matter what you try to do, they'll never be happy.
Oh boy, which route, developer? Release the game too soon and get shit on, or delay a game and still get shit on? The choice is yours!
I actually think that most people are okay with delays. I think that there's a very, very vocal minority that maybe just like, oh, you're delaying it? I want to play it right now. But most people, when you delay a game, they're like, yeah, okay, I get it. Apart from when it comes to like Cyberpunk, if you delay a game 5 times, people start to be like, okay, is you actually gonna release this, or does the game just suck forever? But the first like at least 3 delays, people are like, okay, you know what, King, you take your time, you spruce it up, make it big sexy, we'll play it when it's ready.
Yours, my friend!
Speaking of crunch, while writing this video, me and my friends made the extremely poor decision of firing up Anthem. Remember that travesty? It's on Game Pass anyway.
Dude, Anthem made me so sad.
Only check out the mainline content, none of the grindy, worthless crap. Because yeah, mech suits that fly around controlling the fucking weather is pretty badass. And you know,
the gameplay doesn't even look that bad on Anthem, but man, it made me sad when they flipped to playing making this. BioWare turned from the game company that made Mass Effect and Dragon Age Origins to a live service slop receptacle.
Art design is breathtaking. The sound design is superb. The game plays and feels amazing.
Yeah, it looks really fun.
Snappy and crisp. Just flying around is enjoyable. But you know what isn't enjoyable? The fact that this game went through development hell trying to be a Destiny killer by adding grindy, unintuitive, stupid systems that uproot you from the actual fun moments just to shove some UI disaster or worthless dialogue in your face. Anytime you're caught red-handed having fun, the game forces you to stop everything you're doing so you can go not have fun.
Thank God, fellas, I forgot these games were supposed to make me miserable. What? These types of games hold the concept of end game content over your head as if you have to sift through the garbage to make it to the real game. But guess what, dipshit? I didn't make it to the end game content because the base game fucking sucked. Anthem could have been an extremely fun 8 to 10 hour co-op action game, but we just couldn't have that because BioWare was apparently visited by 3 ghosts that night. The ghost of a worthless open world, the ghost of repetitive missions, and the ghost of tedious, stupid crafting.
Oh my god, he is heated about this one. I mean, it's not wrong at all. This Anthem could have been sick. If it was like 10 hours long, it was based on story missions. If it was like Titanfall 2's story is one of the best in FPS history, according to a lot of people. I played it, I really like it as well. And it is because it is not a live service, it's not trying to be something it's not. It knows it's kind of like a Call of Duty run around and shooty type of campaign, and it's really, really good. If they made Anthem's story kind of like that, I think it would have been an absolute hit. I think people would have loved it.
What matters at the end of all of this is that we all need to unanimously push for. In the way this segment hopefully ties a bow around the point I'm making, the vision of every game also needs to find its little bow. Look at him go, oh, whoa, shit. I firmly believe aimless single-player checklist games are some of the worst games ever made. They don't respect your time, they don't strive for anything meaningful, they're a job with no pay and a boss that demands too much of you. These forever endlessly supported multiplayer games would always rather drag a carrot on a stick than actually make worthwhile gameplay features. There is a wealth of outstanding...
It also makes you think, like, games were originally developed, and when they make it, it has people that really believe in it and they're passionate behind it and they want to make something good. I wonder if there are people that are super passionate about making live service games, or is it just a business thing? Because if you're a creator or you're a creative person, when you go into this kind of industry, making games, because you're passionate about making games, it's not easy, it's not well paid, it's not that well respected, you get dunked on by people all the time. So you go in because you love games and you want to make really good games. But when you come to make these live service games, like, where's the passion? That feels a little bit soulless.
Standing AAA and indie games that don't fall into this massive, all-consuming category that I challenge you to seek out and enjoy. Here's an extremely varied list of games that properly appreciate your time, that you can utilize as medicine whenever you feel yourself falling into
That's sick.
traps.
I'm actually looking for new games to play. Whoa, wait. Oh, yeah. Okay. Deathloop. Yeah, Deathloop is good. I played that. It's very good. Disco Elysium. Oh my God, so base. Disco Elysium is one of my favorite games of all time. It is without a doubt the best written game that has ever been created. I absolutely love it. It is so underrated. It needs to be more respected. It needs more awards. Hopefully we'll get a sequel. I love Disco Elysium so much. Neon White I haven't played. Earth Defense Forces, my friend really liked that, but I haven't played it. Stray looks pretty good. Inscription is also super, super good. Have never played Highlight Drifter. He's got Prey on that as well. What an absolute legend. He's got Prey on it. Inside Deep Rock Galactic, haven't played those. Vampire Survivors, I've heard is really good. Grow Home, haven't played. Firewatch, I haven't played. Stanley Parable, really, really good. Then we have Peglin and Ready or Not. I haven't played those two either, but you know what? I got some new ones for my list now of games that I totally am gonna start, but then never, maybe will start.
Now listen, I know this list is psychotic, unorganized, and truly deranged, but I think these games perfectly emphasize what I'm talking about. All of these games are super fun, and they're consistently fun and diversely engaging the whole time despite being extremely different from one another. And just as a wise man once said, if the game's not fun, why bother?
True! So base! You know, I agree with so much of what Circle Tune said in this video. Like, it's a really, really well-made video as well. Like, it's absolutely fantastic. Hopefully, maybe one day. I don't see this happening because you always need to have more money and more profits being made. But hopefully, we can all go back to the original of making games as passion projects and making things that is really good and not just making stuff to siphon dollars out of your wallet. But we'll see. If you want me to react to something, let me know in the Discord server. Subscribe to Circle Tunes. This is a really good video.